All right. Welcome, my friend, to another edition of Proverbs Every Day. You're watching the replay. That means there's going to be about 5 minutes of music as we wait for people to come live in. But you can skip it if you want. But I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started.
Before the earth was made, wisdom stood tall, knowing every step through the rise and the fall. In the pages of Proverbs, secrets unfold, revealing a treasure more precious than gold. Get wise, open your eyes, read a chapter every day. You'll realize, guided by wisdom, let preparedness rise. Get wise, it's no surprise. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way. Get wise.
It takes wisdom to get paid, to walk the right way, to make the right choices every single day.
From the dawn of creation to the hustle and grind, Proverbs light the path for a clear state of mind. Get wise, open your eyes, read a chapter every day. You'll realize, guided by wisdom, let preparedness rise. Get wise, it's no surprise. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way. Get wise. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way. Why shouldn't I? Men shouldn't pray. Shut your lips like a vice. Show people you're wise. Get wise, open your eyes, read a chapter every day. You'll realize, guided by wisdom, let preparedness arise. Get wise, it's no surprise. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way. Get wise. In every verse there's a lesson to learn, a spark of truth in every turn. So take a moment, let the words sink in. With every chapter, let the journey begin. Get wise, open your eyes, read a chapter every day. You'll realize, guided by wisdom, let preparedness rise. Get wise, it's no surprise. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way. Get wise, open your eyes, read a chapter every day. You'll realize, guided by wisdom, let preparedness arise. Get wise, it's no surprise. A proverb a day will bring wisdom your way. Get wise.
Well, good morning. My name is DJ. Read a proverb every single day, and a whole chapter of them. Lines up so well. But in February, things are changing a little bit, so it's going to be interesting. Okay, fun story about this. Actually, yesterday, the cause of my confusion was that I had intended to read both 6 and 7 yesterday because they're both a little bit shorter, and they fit well together. So I had intended to do that, and so I had such an interesting time. I was so flustered because I'd done so many things badly yesterday that we ended up only reading chapter 6. And so I guess I should say I apologize, but it's not that I didn't set any expectations ahead of time. So, but what we are going to do is tomorrow we are going to read chapters 8 and 9 because there's only 28 days in the month. We've got to figure out some ways to get ahead. And so this is something I'm going to be experimenting with. Um, it's hard to run an experiment once a year, but in any case, that's the way we're going to do it. And in future months, when there's only 30 days, I think I might do something similar where I'm combining days, but we'll see how that works out. It gets a little confusing fast, obviously. So yeah, we'll see. So for February, a little bit different, but yeah. In any case, the whole goal is to fit the entire book of Proverbs into a single month. And so this is how we're going to do it this month. So today we're just going to do chapter 7 and have some hopefully joyous time afterwards and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, happy Friday, everybody.
It's time for Proverbs every day. Words of wisdom show you the way. Every month a whole new look, different version of the book. Reading the whole chapter each calendar day. Proverbs every day. Proverbs every day.
All right. Well, we're going to jump right back into more, well, yeah, more wisdom given to a son that I think applies to a lot of us. So let's dive right on in here. Proverbs chapter 7, reading from the Holman Christian Standard Bible. My son, obey my words, treasure my commands, keep my commands and live. Protect my teaching as the pupil of your eye. So the thing to note here is that, and again, I had started this yesterday, so I already had some markups here. So I'll just reiterate what I was trying to say, and that is that the notion here is that we are not just taking them to heart, so to speak. We are actually protecting these teachings. We're saying, in the same way that you protect your eyes when you do work in the you're working with wood or whatever whatever that looks like. What do you always do? You put on eye protection, right? They're that important. They're irreplaceable. So protecting these teachings with that same amount of tenacity to protect the pupil of your eye. Verse 3, tie them to your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call understanding your relative. She will keep you from a forbidden woman, a stranger with her flattering talk. In other words, we have some methods here to prevent these kind of things from happening. And we're going to dive into a little story about this here in a moment, but that is the initial instruction here. The thing to keep in mind through all of that is that we are to invite wisdom in that way, that we're saying, no, this is not just a casual relationship here. This is, very much this is my sister. This is something I want to be in relation with, it is just, yeah, not negotiable. Verse 6, at the window of my house, I looked through the lattice. I saw among the inexperienced, or simple, gullible, naive, I noticed among the youths a young man lacking sense. Crossing the street near her corner, he strolled down the road to her house. At twilight in the evening, the dark of the night, a woman came to meet him dressed like a prostitute, having a hidden agenda. Or prostitute with a guarded heart. Now, So we're seeing some things here that, this woman is not actually a prostitute, but she has an agenda that's a lot like one. Uh, and she's just making that dress. She's very purposeful about what she's doing. Yeah, verse 11 here. She is loud and defiant. Her feet do not stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares, she lurks at every corner. She grabs him and kisses him. She brazenly says to him, or she makes her face strong and says to him, I've made my fellowship offerings. Today I have fulfilled my vows. And the footnote here is the meat from a fellowship offering had to be eaten on the day it was offered. Therefore, she is inviting him to a feast at her house. That's kind of cool. I guess I didn't note that previously. I'd noted the invitation, but this is something where it's like it had to be eaten on the day it was offered. So it's an implied invitation right away. Oh, we read that already. So verse 15. So I came out to meet you, to search for you, and I found you. I'm highlighting this for a very specific reason here, as far as the yous. I want you to see here that she starts off by obviously lying to this young man. She wasn't looking for a specific person. She was looking for the young man lacking sense. That's who she was looking for. And I'd love to say it gets better from here. It doesn't get better from here. Verse 16. I've spread coverings on my bed, richly colored linen from Egypt. I've perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. There's no mystery about what she's after here. Verse 18. Come, let's drink deeply of lovemaking until morning. Let's feast on each other's love. Again, that lie. My husband, verse 19, my husband isn't home. He went on a long journey. He took a bag of money with him and he would come home at the time of full moon. So what we're saying here is a combination of things. One is that she is justifying herself because her husband isn't there. There's probably some anger and resentment here. I don't know the whole story, but I see things like this even today, where there are not just stories, but having actually seen these kind of things play out in a very similar kind of way, where you have the woman scorned for whatever reason. She feels justified, or she, whatever this looks like, and there's always this like hidden justification, and the she's basically trying to get back at him or whatever, but she thinks she's fulfilling her needs, but that's not actually what she's doing. But her aggressiveness is undeniable here. So yeah, I'd love to say it gets better from here, but it does not. Verse 21. She seduces him with her persistent pleading. She lures with her flattering talk, or smooth talk. He follows her impulsively. Like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer bounding towards a trap. So another source for this reads, like a shackle to the discipline of a fool. or obscure. Or the Hebrew is a little obscure on this, apparently. Interesting. I want you to note here the he follows her impulsively. In other words, this is a young man who has not been taught to think, has not been prepared for these kind of things. He has not been either he has not been instructed, or he has chosen not to listen to instruction. Yeah, it's just an impulse at this point, and there's just a reality here where there is especially for younger men, there is a very strong impulse to say, "Ooh, hey, it's an opportunity. Let's go." Not thinking about the consequences. Like verse 23, until an arrow pierces its liver, or his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, he doesn't know it will cost him his life. Verse 24, now, my sons, listen to me. Pay attention to the words of my mouth. Again, we're saying, okay, heads up. You need to pay attention here. Don't let your heart turn aside to her ways. Don't stray onto her paths. For she has brought many down to death. Her victims are countless, or in powerful men are all her victims. Her house is the road to Sheol, descending to the chambers of death. Now, in the last session, we saw a little bit of how there's a comparison to who's worse, like the adulteress, which is who we're talking about here, or the prostitute, and actually finding that the adulteress is actually worse than the prostitute, because there's a motivation beyond just finances, I guess you could say. And we need to be honest that our society is justifying these kind of things today. That it is somehow made okay because of one person's attentiveness, lack of attentiveness, behavior, whatever the justification may be. That is made true. But what I want to also note here, there's two things that I kind of want to bring out here. One is that what we see here is a call to preparedness. We need to be, as we were saying before, I'll say it again, we need to be preparing young men. Right now, and I don't want to get too much into the times with these, but this is one of those things where we need to have a look at this here and kind of look forward to what is going to be happening in our society if we don't do this. What are we doing specifically to young men these days? There is this, it is interesting to me that this is not a new thing. This is something that C.S. Lewis called out, very close to 100 years ago. Very close to it, actually, when he said we're raising men without chests, and it's only gotten worse. This call to, demasculate the man, and so we see young men going out into the world that have been indoctrinated with these things, so they're prepared for what? I don't know what they're prepared for exactly. They're not prepared for the real world. This is the real world. This is what is happening. There's this modern phenomenon of people call it the quote unquote cougar. These women that are, for whatever reason in their lives, just seeking this out, and they literally do hone in on it. There are very disgusting websites and stuff like that are actually promoting this stuff and actually teaching women how to find these young men and exploit them in this way. This has not gone away. In fact, it's getting worse in our society right now. We desperately need to be paying attention to this and to be raising our young men specifically to be aware of this, to be a true man of God. And otherwise there's a we say that this is something that it cost him his life, and it may not be literally his ability to take in air any longer, but it will drastically alter the course of his life to something that is not pleasant. It will cost him his livelihood. It will cost him just there's no taking it back. There's no going back with something like this. And so it's really important to prepare people, not with fear, young men, to prepare them for the realities of this and what it looks like, and say, okay, this is something that, hey, guess what? You're probably going to encounter this. You're going to encounter some sort of thing like this. And, it's what are you going to do when it comes? If you're not preparing them for that reality, then again, it's just kind of, I see that as an act of cruelty. We need to be raising adults, not friends. We need to be making children into responsible and wise adults. It's just the reality here. Now, the second part of this is even harder for the modern Christian to hear. And that is that I would argue there's an allegory to this for the church. The more we are accepting things like every TV show has, what two things do every television show have these days? There's always somebody who dies and is probably murdered, and there's probably some weird circumstance around it, but there's also infidelity. It is just every single time. Someone has to sleep with somebody and somebody has to kill somebody. It's like every TV show, and it's just weird. So there's some that it doesn't even fit, and yet they still somehow manage to have that in there. We're being trained, whether we like it or not, to think in terms of these things, in terms of infidelity. So when the church goes astray from God's teachings, it's not really a big surprise to me, having seen this. We are constantly allowing the thoughts of infidelity and improper relations to come into our minds. So why wouldn't it translate into these things? Why wouldn't it somehow become okay now, or encouraged now, to have a system in our churches where we're, looking at aberrant teachings and calling it diversity? That's not diversity. Not in the slightest. That's not diversity at all. That's aberrant, non-Christian thinking. It's the wrong kind of character. You're inviting incorrect character into your midst, and then justifying it by saying, no. It's just, we're accepting them the way they are. We're not judging them. But what is it doing? What is that snare doing for your church? What is that snare doing for you as a person? Food for thought. I mean, I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm just giving an observation here that there are some serious problems right now. And if we look at these things as not just words that happened on a page thousands of years ago, and that's the only use for it. If we look at this and say, this is how we need to be approaching our lives, we need to run away from these things. We need to not allow them to be part of our lives. We need to be prepared and know that they are coming. We need to be not ignorant and say, yes, this is the way the world is. But it doesn't mean I have to participate. It doesn't mean we collectively have to participate. So I hope that was helpful to somebody today. I hope that was something that is that moment of it clicking for someone, and it actually causes them to think about these kind of things. So, yeah, don't mean to be preaching and knocking people over the head, but sometimes you just gotta. In any case, I hope you all have a wonderful day today, and that you can actually take these words and apply them to your lives so that we can be a more inspirational force for those around us, that we can guide them to true truth, which is hidden but not hidden. It is out there but not seen until we actually see it. And so I do pray that we are people that inspire that in others, and when we pay it forward. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow again. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to mix things up a little bit. It's going to be a little confusing for the next few days, or for next rest of this month. But we're going to do both chapters 8 and 9 tomorrow. And so get ready for a slightly longer session tomorrow. I'll try and, well, I'm not going to promise to be less preachy. If it comes to me, I'm just going to do it. I'm not holding back. If it's something that's not enjoyed, it's easy enough to turn off, right? But I hope that this is something where we can actually, get fired up and get excited about get as excited about God as He is for us. So, love you guys. Be blessed by the best. Be a blessing to all the rest. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another 2 chapters of Proverbs.